Well, it's an honor to be here at Centennial Hall, working for K2. I want to give a really great thanks to our star producer, Grace Elliott, over there by the door, put the show together. And the whole staff of K2, Jamie Waste, Jeff Brown, Susan Fitzgerald, Katie Helt. And can I hear it one time for Fort James playing the bass? And how about for Alan Wicks on the drums? And Mr. Steve Nelson on the keys playing for you. My name's Justin Smith, and we got Doc Washington in the house, all the way here from Phoenix to sing for you. And stick around, folks, because we're playing all night. Here we go.
All right, it's a day to get cozy with each other. We are expecting a full house, so if there's one seat in between, if you could make room on the outside, and then those who are standing, if you could fill in some of the chairs for us, please. We'll be early birds by 2 minutes. So welcome to Klatt Elementary. I'm Kelsey Szymanski, the principal here. I want to welcome Dr. Bryant, our superintendent. I want to also welcome, I've seen a couple school board members in the house tonight. And then as our surroundings, the Anchorage School District directors, lead teams that are here to support us tonight. And so thank you. Thank you very much. And so at this time, I will turn it over to, oh, and let's not forget Shannon, our demographer. Thank you very much.
Me. Thank you so much. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Bingham. I am a school planning and demographics consultant. I work all over the western U.S. for school districts. I have about a 12-year intensive experience in Alaska and have worked here off and on since about 1990. We have a panel of folks that are going to be able to answer questions. What the structure of the evening will be is we will have a very short 15 or 20-minute presentation, and then we will spend the balance of the evening answering your questions. We have at least 3 school board members in the room who I can see at this point, and I'll introduce the panel who will assist with answering questions. The structure will be, after the presentation, we will have a 3-minute window for everyone who wants to speak or ask a question at this floor mic, which will move up once we begin that part of the town hall. there is a sign-up sheet that we need you to sign up for to have a opportunity to speak. I believe it is out at the front desk. We will get it in here in a second, and you may have until the end of the presentation to sign up. So we'll try to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. I will call on people two at a time, so there will be the person speaking and then the person on deck who will have an opportunity to speak. This evening we have Eric Visti, who is our Senior Elementary Education Director. We have Rob Holland, who is our Chief Operations Officer. We have Mark Stock, who is our Chief Academic Officer. And Jim Anderson, who is our Chief Financial Officer and administers all of our business dealings in the district. We have other people in the room who can also answer your questions. Dr. Jarrett Bryant over at the far end, our Superintendent of Schools, and there are a variety of other professionals in the room that we hope will answer even the most specific questions you might have. We know you have a lot of questions. We do not want to take up your time with a whole lot of a presentation, but we know that we are here for a very somber reason, as the closure of this school has been proposed along with 5 other schools in the Anchorage School District. So we want to understand your perspectives. This evening is really designed for us to collect your thoughts and your ideas on what we're doing and help us understand your perspective on these proposals. We have about a $68 million budgetary shortfall. Districts all over Alaska and all over the western United States post-COVID have lost about 3% of their enrollment. Districts all over the West have been experiencing declining enrollment, declining birth rates. We'll talk a little bit about that. But basically, we have fewer and fewer students to work with. And the proposal tonight is one of 4 or 5 ideas to try to economize and address the budgetary shortfall, at least partially, that include a variety of other cost-saving strategies. So with that introductory comment, I will introduce Jim Anderson, who will talk a bit about our budgetary circumstances, and then we'll continue on.
Thanks, Shannon. Hi, I'm Jim Anderson. I'm the Chief Finance Officer, and tonight I wanted to walk through why the district has a budget deficit. Before I do that, though, we've been to a number of schools now and talked to the staffs. I do want to let the audience know that, we know when we walk into a room that for everyone here, this is deeply personal. It's absolutely personal to you, your kids, your grandkids, the staff who have formed their family at this building for several years in many cases. And as a result of significantly fewer students, more than 5,000 less than we used to, but really the budget deficit did kick this off into overdrive this year. So I want to talk through how did Alaska, how did Anchorage over time get such a large budget deficit? And if you look at the chart behind me, you'll see these big blue dark bars at the bottom, and each one on them, except for the very last one, says $5,930. So the state's funding formula starts with the number of kids you have enrolled, and then it goes through a calculation, and then you multiply it by $5,930, and that starts the state and local funding. Fiscal year 17, which is on your lower left, is the first day of school in August of 2016. If you look above that bar, there's a red line that continues to go higher and higher above the blue bars all the way across to the right. That red line represents the actual inflationary costs for Anchorage during those years. With the exception of this year, I kept it at 2%, even though all of us are certainly feeling that it's 8+%. Underneath that red line, you will see gaps between the dark blue bars of the BSA and the red line. In all of those years, for the last 6 years, we have had the exact same amount of money per student in which to budget the school district. So in order to try to keep up with inflationary costs, we closed 2 schools, we merged multiple programs, and we have been cutting staff since fiscal year 17 to include that year. And we have not been able to keep up with inflation because the state has continued to fund us essentially at the exact same level as if it's the first day of school in August of 2016, and if inflation doesn't affect school districts, but just the rest of the state. So we did quite a few things besides closing schools. We also used fund balance, which is our emergency savings. The state did give us one-time money, but usually that comes in May or June. And when we build a budget by charter, city charter, we have to pass our budget by the school board in February of each year. In March, it has to be passed by the assembly, and usually when we get one-time funding, it shows up in May, June, or July, depending on the year. So we pass our budget every year for the last 6 years as if we're back in August of 2016, not knowing what the legislature is going to do. If you look at the last 2.5 years, you'll see a large amount of federal money. We did have a large amount of federal money. The state made a public and conscious decision not to increase education money until the federal money ran out. So when you look at the far right, you'll see fiscal year 24, that's next school year. The state did increase the base student allocation by $30 for next school year. So that's a 0.5% increase over 7 years of inflation that equaled well over 15.4%. It didn't even touch the inflationary costs. And when you look at the BSA in fiscal year 17 and the BSA in fiscal year 24, the same amount of money, $59.30 in 2016 and $59.30 this school year, is worth $80 million less. So we have continued to operate with less and less money every year, with the exception of the one-time money, the fund balance, and of course, the federal relief dollars. So we will go through the bulk of our federal relief dollars this year, and next year we will start at somewhere north of a $60 million budget deficit as we go into January and build our budget book. And that's why we knew that we needed to go public as early as possible on all of these choices that the board had to make, because everywhere you see a gap between the red line and the blue bar, we've already cut all the low-hanging fruit. We've cut staff in schools, we've cut it all across the district. We've closed schools. We've done all these other things to try to keep up with pretending that we were still in August of 2016. But when you look at that gap, there will be a little bit of money left over in the federal relief funds, but it's just not enough. Slide, please. So real quick, I just wanted to give you an idea. If you look at these 3 bands in a circle behind me, the outer band represents what is district-wide administration. That's about 9% of the total budget for ASD. If you look at the blue band, those are every important program that makes parents, children, teachers excited every day to get up, whether they're ever going to play football or not. They happen to be an amazing band student or an amazing whatever your student is amazing at. Everything in the blue is what represents those programs that wrap around a classroom to provide those things that make school exciting. That's worth about 30% of ASD's total budget. So when we look at reductions in that area, that's about 30% of our total operating funds. The inner circle is the special education and the general education classrooms and supports within the classroom. And that includes curriculum, IT, everything else, but it's really mostly people. And that's where 60% of all the district's money lies. So if you look to the right, you'll see a quick chart that I put in last night's board meeting. And you can see that at this point, we've gone through 16 of the departments within the district admin, and we're already at about 5% reduction in people, over 7% in total reduction of other costs. And then you can move down and see the middle ring is about 8% in personnel and 7% in other things, to include personnel costs. And we still can't get there. And this is with every horrible decision that we've asked the board to look at. If they said yes to all of them, to include the school closures, we're still $40 million short in getting to a balanced budget. And there are other options that you'll see in the next couple board meetings. And I just hope that, you know, the reason the board members are here tonight, they do want your input. We want your input, because as you build a cut list to get to zero, you're also building the prioritized list if the legislature is successful. And so they do want your priorities, and we all do. So as we go through this tonight, when you have questions, please, we'll give you the most honest answer, whether it's what you want to hear or not, because we owe you that. This is a lot of kids here. Cruddy, we'll go with cruddy. There's nothing good about this, and we get it. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Before we proceed further, I've got about 4 seats over here, and there are 4 seats in the center. Would anyone like to sit down? If you wanted to kind of come now and have a seat, we would welcome that. The sign-up sheet is right in front of Board Member Donnelly, right here next to the projector. If anyone would like to sign up to speak, I'm going to speak for maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. So come on over and get your name on that list if you would like to speak once we move into the public hearing part of the town hall. As Mr. Anderson alluded, there are a variety of things affecting us. We have about 18% of our schools are at 65% capacity or below. Since 1995, we've closed 2 schools, but we still have 53 of the 55 schools that we had back then, and we've lost thousands of students, as have districts all over the West, all over Alaska. So we'll take questions once we get into the hearing. I'm going to try to rush through this so that I can get everybody an opportunity to speak. Are you on the list to speak, sir? Okay, good. Thank you. So we have special services staff. So in every building, about 38% of the teaching staff are occupational therapists, speech therapists, physical therapists, special education teachers, instructional coaches. Even art, music, and PE are fractional in a lot of our buildings, meaning it's not a full-time job. Some of those teachers have 3 or 4 locations that they work at. So one of the strategies that districts that have a lot of small schools have pursued is trying to get bigger, try to approach a 3-round school. So the goal of a lot of the school consolidation efforts that we see in the West is to create larger schools. All over the Western U.S., school districts have lost about 3% of their enrollment due to the pandemic. They are experiencing declining birth rates. They're experiencing declining enrollments, and districts all over the West are closing schools, unfortunately. So we're not really alone in that regard. I work for quite a few districts that have 30,000 students or more that are closing schools. And I've actually worked for one district that has about 1,500 students that actually closed a school. So a lot of that sort of thing happening in the West. The efficiency goals are to try to increase our level of service. So if we have a bigger school with more adults in the building, we believe that we can do a better job. We can be more efficient with the staff that we have. And so that's part of the strategy behind closing schools. As far as what have we done here in Anchorage, we've mostly focused on small schools. A lot of the districts that have really looked at a scientific approach to how to do this have come back to the idea of identifying their smallest schools that are adjacent to each other, that are combinable, meaning we could combine 2 schools together into a larger school and wind up with one operating budget. That's what the majority of the districts have done. They've mostly looked at smaller schools. So I'll talk a little bit about Klatt specifically in just a moment, but that's been the overwhelming strategy. As far as what's happening to us in Anchorage, we have about 750 babies every year than we had 5 years ago. So we're expecting this to get quite a bit worse. Young people have been leaving the Anchorage Bowl in the state of Alaska for quite some time now, and we're looking at the incoming preschool age children. Just the set of kids that we have to work with is smaller every year. So we have 750 fewer than we did 5 years ago, and already the bars on the left that are blue are how many kids we had per grade in 2017. The bars on the right are how many kids we have this year. And you can see that in every one of those grades, now we have 500 fewer children in each grade than we had 5 years ago. And those birth grades are in ages 0 through 4. So those children are coming up. So that's why a lot of districts around the West and districts in Alaska that have not had to confront school size issues in the prior decades are having to confront it now because we have lost so much enrollment and it's about to get quite a bit worse. As far as the schools that are going to consolidate, the 6 that are proposed at this point are shown on this menu, one at a time. So we're seeing Abbott Loop, Birchwood, Klatt, Nunaka Valley, Northwood, and Winter Park. And you can see in the middle what the repurposing option might be, and then there are destination schools on the right as far as where they would go. As far as in Klatt, our proposal is for the Diamond Estates neighborhood to be assigned to Campbell STEM, and for the area immediately around Klatt to be assigned to Ocean View. There are about 191 students that live in Diamond Estates, and there are about 125 students immediately around Klatt here. And the whole idea behind this consolidation was that between Ocean View and Klatt and the school to the west, we really only need 2 schools when we have 3. So that's the whole reason why we've looked at this. As far as how would that be divided up from a special program standpoint, we would have a very careful examination of the school and the students that are in special education programs, and we would relocate those students to an appropriate location with an appropriate teacher in an appropriate sized section that would either be in Bayshore, Ocean View, or another school immediately adjacent to Klatt. So that's the basic strategy there. We can answer details on that. So that's our presentation tonight. We would like to answer as many questions as possible. I would like to collect the sign-up sheet now if I could, and I'm going to start calling on people one at a time to come forward and speak, and I'll identify somebody on deck. And since we're since we're crowded, when you know you're on deck, try to move over to the general area where the microphone is so that you'll have an opportunity to speak. So first I have Barb Jansek, and I have Dana Herzog after that, please.
Hey, Shannon, did you just want to give him I'm going to give him a 30-second?
Yes, and so MJ Thim back at this microphone is going to run our 3-minute timer, and he will indicate when we're 30 seconds away from the end of your time. So if we could just respect that 3-minute limit, we would appreciate it. So MJ will be the clock guy. So thank you so much.
Since I am first, I have a logistics question to ask before I begin. I do have some questions, but does the answers fall into my 3 minutes?
No. No, we will take, that will not impact your 3 minutes.
Okay, that's very important. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anchorage School Board, Superintendent, I'm Barb Janaszek. I've taught art at Klatt for over 30 years, and I've recently retired. I still consider this my school. I'm concerned for the students of this community, the excellent staff, and our parents. I've heard where our students will be placed, and that question has already been answered. Our school, the last time I checked, and they're on the board, it says that we are at a 92% enrollment. I'm curious as to the enrollment percentages of the two mentioned schools. What are they at this point? And that's probably something that you can't answer right now, but it needs to be answered sometime.
Sure.
What were their percentages changed to after Klatt is added on? Again, needs to be answered, maybe not at this time. Will they be able to have room for us without increasing class size or adding portables? Will they be able to provide all the services that our students receive here at Klatt? This question has to have a guarantee. Our student bus riders will increase. Are you going to guarantee that there will be more than adequate transportation for our community walkers? And again, needs to be answered, maybe not at this time. We'll receive district help in the move of our entire student enrollment. These students do not understand why this is being done. I too am having a hard time understanding why this is being done. I'm worried for our teachers and staff and have not heard of any plans for them. They will physically need help if uprooted. Do you have any ideas for them? My heart also goes out to Diamond Estates. The teachers and staff have worked hard for this part of our community. I sincerely hope you can guarantee that they will find this at their new school. And I am worried and feel doubtful. These are pretty strong words, but if you only knew what our connection is with this community. We have a great parent following, our PTA is strong, and I'm sure you'll hear from them tonight.
30 seconds.
I have heard rumors about what will happen to our school, and that was answered up there at the board. If one of the charter schools were to move into our school and we were to move out, it would cause, in my mind, more problems than it would solve. I feel it would spread a great sadness throughout our community and would take much time to dissipate. Please, please, reconsider your choice
Time,
to
please.
close Klatt, to separate and divide our community. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Janaszek. So I'd like to, three of us will attempt to answer your question. We've carefully walked through Campbell and networked with the principal at that school and explored the space that's available there, and we believe that Diamond Estates would, in fact, be able to be accommodated at Campbell and that there would not be undue crowding. Within the existing sections and additional new classrooms that would be brought on to accommodate the children that would come from Diamond Estates, we've gone through and done that homework as far as that working. Regarding Ocean View, we have quite a bit of available space in Ocean View, and we believe the 125 students that live in this attendance area could be accommodated at Ocean View. So basically, we are convinced that both of those gen ed populations would fit at those schools. Now, regarding preschool and special education, the accommodation of those programs would be regional, and it may not be exactly at those two locations. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask Jim Anderson to address the transportation improvements that we've recently accomplished, and then I'd like to ask Eric Visti to comment a little bit on preschool and special ed and what our strategy might be there. I think Rob Holland is going to take the transportation question.
Hi, everyone. Regarding transportation, there have been a lot of questions about this. We've made a lot of progress towards the goal of getting out of the cohort model, meaning in the very near future, we'll be able to return to the full transportation model. We've done the things we mentioned earlier about working with a national transportation consultant and purchasing a new software program, which will be implemented. We've had the initial round of conversations with the consultant, and we've come up with a way to start consolidating routes and becoming more efficient than we ever have before. This means we'll be less dependent on a larger number of drivers, and it's just the start of a long-term efficiency reimagining of our transportation program. So in the near future, we will be announcing the date when we'll be able to rotate out of the cohort model. It's getting close, and we're not going to stop there. We're going to continue to make that model more efficient. So we are confident that we're going to have a long-term solution to the transportation issue.
Great.
Thank you.
Eric?
And with regard to preschool and structured learning classrooms, within the last year we have relocated another structured learning program. We do recognize the population of students that our structured learning classroom serves. We do know the individual needs and the particular needs with which those students need services. So while the exact locations haven't been completely identified, our special education team is working with our elementary ed team to look at where that placement would be. We do know that on the south side of town, Bowman Elementary School has a successful program. We would be looking to maintain a presence on the south side of town because we know the population needs that we have and the services that we are obligated and committed to serving. So that plan will be individualized and tailored for our program here. As far as preschool, preschool would be similar to that in terms of placement. One of the proposals is looking at an early childhood center, but we'd be looking at how that fits within the context of our local schools in the area to serve those students. And that information we'll be investigating and following up on.
Thank you, Eric. So I'd like to call on Dana Hollering.
Hollering.
All right.
So I have a couple comments and I have some questions. Jim, I feel for you. I am a director of finance myself. I can only imagine the terrible choices you're having to go through to balance your budget, and and I appreciate everybody coming together to do so. And I know a lot of this falls on the state level. It filters down. In regarding to the data that we've seen in regarding census, birth rates, and those kinds of items, predicting incoming students, have we had any conversations with PIC to help us determine how many students we anticipate coming into the pre-K SPED program? And I'm assuming you're using the SPED 4-year-olds to determine how many SPED children in the kindergarten will be coming in. And my big question in regards to that is, have you seen those rates for the kindergartners coming in the SPED different programs decrease as well as the rest of the program in the general ed portion of things? The other question I have is in regards, because I am a parent of I'm a grandparent actually. We have guardianship of our grandson who attends Klatt here in the SLC program. And so him moving has me very concerned. Will his language arts, his speech and his OT follow him wherever he gets reassigned? They're the ones that have worked with him for 4 years. They know him, they know where he's at, and if we move, he is going to start over again with somebody new. These little guys that are autistic and have hard time with change, that's going to set them back. They've already been set back with COVID. I know you guys have heard this over and over again. I've watched all the town halls. I've watched the school board meetings. So my question is regarding the staff following them with the SLC programs if they are moved. And if they are moved, it's going to be important for us as parents to know where they're moving. Extended school year for him was, I'm so glad it was only half day. He spent 45 minutes to get to school, did a half day of school, an hour and 15 minutes to get home. If that is what he's going to expect during the regular school year,
30 seconds.
He's going to be spending more time out from the time he leaves my house on that bus to get to school, do school, and get home. He will spend more time at school than an adult who is working a full-time job. And that's just, and I'm glad you guys are working with the transportation portion of it to consolidate, because I have 2 SPED buses that go through my neighborhood at the exact same time. And I'm sure they are serving the same 3 elementary schools
please.
here. Thank you.
So let me address your 3 questions. Regarding accounting for incoming preschool, the health department in Alaska is not geolocating birth certificates. So we have overall statistics for the municipality and the state, but we don't have attendance area specific birth data. We're looking at census tract data and identifying 0 to 4-year-olds, but that was collected in April of 2019, so it's a little old. I look very carefully at how many preschool kids are in an attendance area, and are we serving preschool children regionally, meaning 3 elementary school attendance areas feed a preschool that's located at one school. And the district does an incredibly good job of servicing preschool children regionally, which is why we think the early childhood center model would work well here, meaning a building with a couple of hundred preschool kids in it, very much tailored to addressing the needs of 3 and 4-year-old children. We don't have a full cohort of 4-year-olds in our preschool programs. It's very fractional. And in fact, I think the combination of 3 and 4-year-olds is less than half the size of our kindergarten. So we don't have a full set moving in. So everything's very fractional and hard to predict. But we've done a pretty good job of predicting incoming K, and we're correlating to the incoming birth numbers overall.
My question is specifically in the SPED area versus the general ed kindergarten.
I would defer to Eric on that question, I think.
Test there. Chelsea Moreau, who's our preschool director, she's been working instrumentally through behind the scenes and working with the program, in fact, expanding our preschool footprint to help serve more kids. Your specific question about answering about PIC, I don't have that answer. I will follow up and check into that, make sure that we're coordinating with that. Great question. Yeah, we do partner with Programs for Infants and Children, PIC program, if anyone doesn't know that. But we do partner with them and do have open communication, but your specific part for here, I'd have to find out.
Item 3 was ride time.
Regarding ride time on the bus, and I would invite you to, after this, if you do have a minute, I could get specific information on the route. That we don't talk about specific routes, obviously, ever in public, but there have been a number of things as we've moved through the cohort model and put back routes based on safety and density, as opposed to condensing cohorts further. Some of that has been impacted by the number of drivers available with absenteeism also. That's part of the model that is becoming greatly relaxed now, as in the last couple of weeks and in the ensuing weeks, we've got a lot more drivers coming on. So all of the routes are being redone. That's why it's not a simple, quick announcement on a certain date. We're not ready to say that yet. But part of that work with the consultant was rerouting everything to cycle out of the cohort model. And this has been asked by other people. It's very important. It's really a relaying out of the routes, renumbering routes. Some of the pickup and drop-off times will vary, and that will all be very clearly communicated when it's time, with a lot of time to look that up on Parent Connect. And those time adjustments will factor in so there will be less ride time on certain routes. Very quickly on the SPED issue, we do get this a lot, and I'd like to address it. You see a bus, maybe it's a SPED bus, drive right by your house, and you notice 2 students on it. It's a typical question, a little more to the story, but I want you to know that we have already been working for many weeks. I'm working with Tarlisha Wayne's team. She's not here tonight, Senior Director. Oh, excellent. You understand. We're looking at the inclusion model for least restrictive environment. A whole lot of those IEP students that ride the bus for various reasons, that ride a SPED bus, would actually like to, excuse me, or actually belong on a Gen Ed bus in that more modernized, least restrictive environment. It takes some time. We're looking at those IEPs one at a time, and we're going to unwind a lot of those. That will be part of the long-term fix I alluded to, and that's going to create a lot of efficiencies around that to combine those populations. Thank you.
So Easter Maiello, followed by Summer Johnson Thomas, please.
Hi there. My name is Saradna, and my sister's name is Sanaya. This is my dad, Sam, brother, and mom, who's been very supportive of the love we have for our school. My sister and I have both attended Klatt Elementary School for several years. My dad as well attended Klatt from 4th through 6th grade. We are a Samoan family, and in our culture, family is everything. That is why we as a family call Klatt our second family. Music speaks to us, and we hope this song speaks to you. Sometimes with the decisions adults make affects us children. My sister and I just want to focus on learning and having fun here at Klatt Elementary School. This song we want to sing represents a dream about everything to be peaceful, where kids can focus on learning and playing. Klatt represents a place where we feel comfortable and safe, also where learning is enjoyable and fun. Sometimes I lay under the moon, I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause we're here for a reason.
Sometimes in my tears
I drown,
but I'll never let it get me down.
get me down.
So when negativity surrounds,
Surround.
I know someday you will all turn around, because
All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, let us children learn and play. One day, one I'll pray. Whoa. One day, one I'll pray. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Summer Johnson Thomas, followed by Liz Davenport Harvey, please. And Summer, it's going to be hard to follow that.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we all clap for them again? Seriously, thank you for singing. My name's Summer Johnson Thomas. In March 2020, my son was in kindergarten. The first 2 years of public school for him were a blur he can't remember, because 5- and 6-year-olds don't make long-term memories from looking at computer screens. In the midst of all that uncertainty, I bought my first house right next to an elementary school, Klatt. The very first thing I did was show my son the school and how he could walk there. I remember thinking, I'm so happy to be giving him a better life. The pandemic restrictions were being lifted. I felt hope. Mine is just one small story out of hundreds. And if these town halls are not a revival, let them be a funeral procession. We are grieving. These 6 schools, which are second homes to all the children who attend them, communities unto themselves, are being sacrificed for 6% of a budget deficit. 6%. My son's life upended. 20% of all Title I elementary schools are being recommended for closure. Low-income families in Anchorage are being forced to lose their neighborhood schools to cover 6% of a deficit for one budget year. And Title I schools like Klatt typically don't have op-eds from former mayors to save them. So here lies Klatt Elementary, my son's beloved school, named for homesteader Les Klatt. He and his wife Doris were inspired by the book Opportunity in Alaska and moved here in 1947. Mr. Klatt died only 10 years ago. There are over 350 students who attend Klatt, and it is at 92% capacity. The teacher retention rate is high. The unique culture that fosters teacher retention here has been built over many, many years, and it is something that cannot be calculated by a consultant. Klatt is a well-attended, well-loved, and well-respected school. Displacing all of its students to 2 different schools with different teachers and staff will be heartbreaking for all involved. The more heartbreaks my family suffers because of the poor governance of the city and state, the less likely I am to think of Alaska as home, even though I was born here. I am becoming more and more convinced that we are all living in the rotting carcass of an oil boom city that has been dying for over a decade, and the current politicians in power know this and are trying to make their fortunes selling off the scraps while waxing poetic about the moral value of tightening belts. I implore everyone to keep watching Anchorage in Alaska, watch the lack of busing, schools close, library hours dwindle, watch public services become privatized. Watch who really has opportunity in Alaska and what they're doing to the rest of us to get it. And if it's upsetting, I encourage you to get involved and vote.
Thank you, Summer. Liz Davenport, followed by Ava Lewis.
I will address this in a very upfront way. I opened this school. As a student, I went to Ocean View, which was inadequate as a first grader. I was bused to Taku Elementary and spent 3 hours a day on the bus because we went to the transit center so that we could make it a better model. I want to address, I don't have a kid in this school today. I have been in the school for 17 years with my children until this year. We are talking about putting 6th grade into middle school. I, this week, broke up a fight at a middle school from my car because they are inadequately staffed. What about the 33 languages spoken at this school? I have never, in my history with ASD, saw a community print 5 languages in every newsletter. I have not seen a more deserving group than the Diamond Estates kids that are bullied because they're bused so that the South and Golden View can be diverse. And we're going to torture the elementary the same. How? My daughter is pre-med right now because of teachers in this school today. In 4 years, she will be a doctor serving in Alaska because of this school. Our family home will stay in the family for this school and this community. The middle schools aren't equipped, and we're gonna bus these kids to places where their languages aren't supported, where they don't have teachers that have been in the building for over 20 years. They are not only my friends, they are now my family. This is the first year. I don't have a kid in this school in 17 years. How? How are you going to support the middle schools? How are you going to support these teachers of 20, 30 years? How? What about these kids that are getting bused everywhere but their neighborhood schools? Kids that are going right now to South and Golden View can't do sports because they can't get the busing. It's ridiculous. It is not okay.
Thank you, Liz. Ava Lewis, followed by Ashley Headley, please. Is Ava available? Is Ava Lewis in the room? There she is.
Hi, my name is Ava Lowers, and I have been attending Klatt for 6 years. This is my brother and some of my friends, Camila, Lana, Adrian, and my brother Evan. Ever since I got here, I have loved Klatt. Here are a few examples why. Klatt is a place where I feel loved. Almost everyone is kind to me and makes me feel special. When I broke my foot, my friend Zoe also helped me walk. Also, Miss Szymanski, the principal, has made some amazing changes that I don't want to give up, such as Student of the Week and fun things like a drug-free door decorating contest. Klatt has an amazing community. Klatt is a place where kids get what they need. Kids with disabilities get help and advanced kids get their own class. I know what it feels like. Ignite is fun though. My friend comes to Klatt. We are next door neighbors and have known each other since we were 2. In kindergarten, all we had was each other and one other friend, Lana. Now we're all best friends. Some of my favorite memories are when we used to play together at recess. If Klatt wasn't here, we wouldn't be here. I will fight for Klatt, no matter how much it takes. Also, if you're going to shut down our school, you are the ones who are going to explain everything to everyone. There are a lot of confused people out there, and we are not the ones explaining things for you. This decision is not ours, it is yours. I would like to give a shout out to my teachers and the PTA for being with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava. Ashley Headley, please.
My name is Ashley Headley. I'm a 5th grade teacher here at Klatt, and I'm honored to report that although this dark cloud of uncertainty has been weighing over our school, you would never know it from asking our students. Our staff has been a constant in their lives, most since kindergarten or 1st grade, 16 of my 26. And that steady presence has been unwavering. Since receiving the news of the potential closure, our staff has shown up every day with bells on. While morning, noon, and night, our staff group chat is buzzing with ideas and suggestions. We are revising statements, throwing impromptu meetings during our planning times, logging after-hours efforts to keep our school open. We, our staff, our students, our family, feel blindsided by this announcement. Instead of backing down, we have become closer. We are a unified voice for our community, all while maintaining our day as teachers. In response to President Bellamy's closing statements last night, how could we not feel less than or inferior to our other schools and programs? How could we not feel that our community is not a priority when these closure reports support students crossing over Diamond Boulevard to a building that will be well over capacity and is older? How could we not feel that the only title school in South Anchorage is being considered when there are schools with lower capacities than ours? Our building is being suggested to rehouse a charter school. How can our students not feel as important as those students? A decision to keep immersion schools was made in 2 weeks. We are still waiting until December. How can we feel that that is equitable? I watched an hour's worth of student testimonies at last evening's school board meeting in person about immersion schools. I saw stellar examples of the advantages of being bilingual and how it transcends into success in your adult life. We have 127 ELL students. Amongst them, 11 languages are spoken. 46% Spanish, 25% Hmong. In addition, our students speak Samoan, Lao, Yupik, Tagalog, Korean, Russian, Urdu, to name a few. So although we don't have an immersion in our title, it could be argued that we too are an immersion program. We are teaching our students to be successful in English while including and welcoming their vast array of cultures here at school. Although this proposal has brought forward an immense amount of stress, it has made our close community even more tight-knit and unified. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Steve Beardsley, followed by Alina Sandys.
My name is Steve Beardsley. I've been a resident of Alaska since 1973. When I came back into this building, it brought back way too many memories because I opened the school 40 years ago. I hope you remember me as the first. I taught 2nd grade. There's a couple other students. Miss Amy is over here, also a parent who goes here. She's been through a whole bunch of kids, and Amy has also. And illustrious staff members are still around. They've been here probably longer than I was, for 25 plus years in this building. Barb had some excellent questions, and I hope that the copious notes were taken because those are some of the ones that I had on my notes. But I'll go a little bit further. I'm having a question about both the homeschool, Padea, as well as charter schools. Where is the money being saved instead of shuttering the building? I'm not really seeing anything coming out from the district. I don't know what a contract is with charter schools. Those are some of the questions. It doesn't have to be answered. What are the long-term costs or the long-term contracts with charter schools? Is it forever, or what if they go belly up? Or what if they get de-chartered by the state or by the school district? The receiving schools, I substitute still at a number of schools in town. Other schools around are going, what's going to happen next? The school I sub at almost every day has 600 kids in it. When this school was built, Ocean View was packed. Rabbit Creek was packed. We picked up kids from across that border on Old Seward Highway. They subsequently go to Ocean View now. They were here. We had 4 relocatables in the back. Every room was packed. Now we see a big decline in the population base. The culprit, to my knowledge, is what do we do with the Diamond Estates area? Surrounded by huge areas that are industrial, some are residential. What's going to happen, demography, if they sell those
30
houses
seconds.
for housing? There's also a school site within Diamond Estates. I don't know if it's been vacated yet. When we built this, it was, what are we going to do with the Diamond Estates area? And if you look at the little cross sections in through there, you'll see that Bayshore was closer. Nope, they didn't want to go there. They didn't want them there, in my regard. Campbell, not sure what they felt about it. Maybe
Time,
they
please.
were packed. So I'm questioning the leasing and what happens in a charter. And I say Mr. Anderson has maybe an answer.
Yes, sir. I think there may have been more questions than I memorized, so you could please refresh me. But so on the cost, if you look at the staff costs, not counting teachers and other related services that really do move around the district as the children go, you save about $600,000 to $800,000. You also save, if it goes to a charter school, they pay the utilities and the maintenance for the building. But the big gain, and I'm not trying to come out like this is a positive, because I get it, the big reason why the Round 1 schools, we wanted to repurpose them, is if we didn't have a purpose for them, we'd give them back to the city, and they may not be schools again. When we first started announcing a list, there were everything from Boys and Girls Club to the municipality, nonprofits, who all wanted our school buildings. And we knew that if we couldn't repurpose it, then when this area grows, because Anchorage will grow again, I get it that we're on a downward slope right now, but you can't look at a slope and say, okay, we're losing 2% per year, so in 2050 we're going to have -4 people in Anchorage. I mean, the life doesn't work that way. Eventually, Pebble Mine or Molybdenum Ridge or LNG pipeline, something will happen. This state has potential in the billions and billions of dollars. We needed to hold on to these buildings as ASD buildings, knowing that there will come a time when the city does grow again, and we don't have any more land here that's been zoned for a building. If we didn't keep it with some other ASD asset, early childhood center, charter school, whatever it is, it can come back like a phoenix as long as we hold on to this building. If it gets sold off by the muni or leased off, it's gone. And that's why we really did try to repurpose. We do save money the first year and the second year. The third, fourth, and fifth year, you save less. But the state charter for this hold harmless formula that lets us not lose as much money the first 4 years also says that when you close it, you can't reopen it for 5 years. So we do save money by having a charter school come in here. Although, honestly, we had a board meeting last night. If you followed it, you were probably just as confused as me. There's other options, right? We laid out one option. There are other options, and the school board will be talking about those over the next 6 weeks, and it could be something different than that. But what we do know is this community, these people, these kids, they need the school to stay here and not be auctioned off to.
Thank you.
So the second part of your question was regarding what is south of Diamond Estates, and some of that area is zoned residential, or at least it was in 2018, the last time I looked at it.
And there is a school zone in there, a school site.
I think you're correct. I don't know if it's still platted that way, but
It is.
there are probably enough homes there to produce 75 or 80 children, and so that could happen, but in September, there were 53 new homes under construction in the entire Anchorage Bowl. So given where interest rates are, or at least where they were last week at 7.3, now they're below 7, but basically the housing market is kind of in a stasis right now. So we're not looking at a whole lot of demand for that particular ground to develop anytime during the next 5 to 10 years, and there's not much on the books now proposed for it. So we're not overly concerned that that could blindside us.
So just to summarize, the case of the charter, it's supposedly save money the first 1 year, and then it will dwindle down, and after 5 years, the building can be repurposed again.
And it will be at about the 5-year mark, it's going to be cost neutral for the district. Again, though, the biggest advantage is retaining the building.
Well, in my estimation, cost is not equivalent to what these kids get out of this building. We have a doctor coming up. We have graduated many teachers out of this building, as well as professional doctors, psychiatrists, etc. So, money does buy things. Money does speak. But sometimes it's the people that suffer the consequences of the money drives everything. I'll end it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Alina Sandys, followed by Topaz Stotts, please.
Good evening. My name is Elena Sandys, and I am the English Language Learner Resource Teacher here at Klatt. This is my 26th year teaching in the Anchorage School District and my 11th year teaching here at Klatt. I am here tonight to help you understand my perspective of why closing Klatt is an inequitable decision. Currently, Klatt has 122 eligible ELL students speaking 11 different languages. Most of my families live in the Diamond Estates Mobile Home Park. That is 35% of our enrollment. Many of my families do not have the ability to speak English, and many of them work nights. I'm here tonight to advocate for all of them. Klatt is making wonderful gains with this population and was recently recognized in the fall by the ELL department as one of 5 elementary schools making outstanding growth on MAP assessments. This success is attributed to the skilled, experienced, and compassionate staff members we have here at Klatt. This move will disrupt their potential learning outcome. Do we really want to disrupt this level of success? We are a Title I school. We qualify for funds because our population is economically disadvantaged. It doesn't make sense to disrupt their lives and send all of our students to non-title schools. Our families and communities deserve better. This is not equitable. Klatt is at 92% capacity. Where are the other 18 schools that are at 65% or less? Why are you targeting another Title I school? I agree that students in the Diamond Estate neighborhood should go to Mears Middle School and Diamond High. It would be significantly closer than Golden View and South High. The distance gained by moving the elementary students is negligible. As a mom, I can't imagine trying to walk my 2 girls down Diamond Boulevard in the winter and darkness. It's not safe nor realistic. The students that live around Klatt will need to be bused to Ocean View. What will the real cost savings be to this district? How much is it going to cost to move all of our teachers, staff, and materials to other facilities? I also have concerns with the repurpose plan for Klatt. Logistically, it doesn't
30
make
seconds.
sense. Highland has 6th through 12th grade. This school is not designed for larger humans. Half of our bathrooms are designed for small children. Padea is a homeschool program with limited numbers of students that come to school daily. Why are charter schools being put ahead of this thriving neighborhood school? If people make up most of the cost, how come we're not hearing about cutting administration positions or the many consultants we hire? What is
Time,
the
please.
capacity of the Ed Center? My time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alina. Topaz Stotts, followed by Kathy and Nicholas Nye.
Good evening. My name is Topaz Stotts, and I'm here today to talk about some of the amazing things happening at Klatt. Did you know that Klatt receives and distributes boxes of food for our families twice a month from the children's lunchbox? Did you know that in 2021, Klatt received a $7,500 grant to design and create a sensory room for our entire school? That same organization also donated $7,500 to make a Believe sensory garden, which is soon to start. Did you know that Klatt now has a STEM teacher too? Did you know that Klatt received a Green Our Planet hydroponics grant of $10,000 per year? Our STEM teacher will do most of the projects in the STEM room, but each teacher will have a small system within their classroom, and it should be arriving any day. Did you know we have family connections spanning generations? We're starting to teach some of our former students' children. Did you know that Miss Kitty Vong, our ELL tutor, has been at Klatt for 37 years? In fact, she was my husband's ELL teacher here at Klatt when he started 30 years ago. Did you know that our staff, including our TAs in our office, do not move around unless they retire, move out of state, go to a different position in the district? Our turnover is extremely low. Did you know that we have a winter gear closet with gloves, hats, and other donated gear for our Klatt kids? Did you know that our librarian hosts a fall and a spring book fair in the library during parent-teacher conferences? And along with the help of our instructional coach, delivered library books to Diamond Estates kids during the pandemic. Did you know that our teachers and staff had led a variety of before and after lunchtime activities, such as Battle of the Books, Girls on the Run, choir, and most recently, volleyball? Not to mention our Prowling Pumas that has started at recess, where the kids get to run laps and earn tokens to help include everybody. Did you know that Klatt has a choir of 27 4th and 5th graders that rehearse at 8 a.m. every Wednesday? Please consider these facts as you make your budget decisions. We all know that you're in a hard spot making tough choices, but we're not just numbers on a spreadsheet. We are a community that is connected beyond words. And, we will continue to fight for these extra opportunities and resources that we provide for our students and families at Klatt, and I hope that you will too. Thank you.
Thank you, Topaz. Kathy and Nicholas Nye, followed by Nellie Williams, please.
I have a quick question for you guys. I'm a 9th year parent here. I still have a couple more years left. There's my son, Nicholas. A question that I have not heard answered tonight. You guys talked about Klatt is not the largest school in the district. We understand that. But there's several other schools within our district that do not have a high capacity rate. They're well below 60%. Why are you not choosing one of those schools? Why are you choosing our school? We are 92%. You see the people in here that are part of this environment, this community. Why our school? My son Nicholas would like to make a comment.
Hi, I'm Nicholas. Klatt is basically my second home. The teachers have helped their students so much. How come you're closing our school when there is a school that you can close instead of a different school? Because if you did close a different school, you would move less kids and save just as much money probably. I have so many memories with my friends, and I would lose most of my friends. I also like to walk home or to school, so if you did close the school, I would no longer be able to walk to school or from school.
Thank you.
So I think we should attempt to answer your question. Basically, we're looking at school size. We're trying to look at probably about 10 schools that, without completely destroying neighborhoods, could be consolidated into larger programs. And these Part 1 schools are the first 6, where we're looking at mostly size and trying to get to 3 sections per grade level. So Klatt is unique because there are 125 or 130 children immediately around the school, and then Diamond Estates is another 191, and then there are students from outside of the attendance area that come here. So there's one other school in our set that is also, there's a group of kids immediately around the school, and then there's another set that are bussed in from across a busy street. So we've looked at those circumstances where we are trying to consolidate into larger schools, larger student bodies, larger faculties. And there are only about 10 or 12 of those circumstances where we can do that. And fewer of those, we have an alternative use for a building where we could hold on to the building long term in case something changes, as Mr. Anderson explained. So that's the reason why we've identified Klatt, is because of the number of children that are in the immediate neighborhood. And then we're looking at another neighborhood we know that is a member of this family, but we're looking at the proximity of Diamond Estates to Campbell being closer, even though it doesn't seem that way to you, even though that's a transported neighborhood. And so the idea behind assigning it to Campbell was based on proximity and space available at Campbell. So that's the reason why Klatt was identified. Also, between Bayshore, Ocean View, and Klatt, we have 3 schools, and we only need 2 to serve these immediate neighborhoods. So if we're going to try to use this idea of fewer schools instead of increasing pupil-teacher ratio, which is what most districts are really weighing consolidation against, it's all about, do we have fewer schools or do we have more children in classrooms? And there are other things that can be cut, but in the concentric circles analysis that Mr. Anderson offered, you saw that some of those other circles don't really have that much in them, and the majority of our resource is in teacher salaries predominantly. Would anyone like to add anything to that? Great. So I'll move on to Nettie Williams, followed by Jenny Pitka.
Hi there. My name's Nellie Williams. I'm not from Klatt. I'm from Ocean View, and I just want to say my heart goes out to all of you who are dealing with this. I can only begin to imagine how sad and frustrated and angry you all must be. And I can't speak for the school, but I do want to know that you guys have allies and other parents at Ocean View fighting to keep our schools open. I also will say that if this does come to pass, please know that there will be many, many families welcoming you with open arms despite the really rough circumstance. So that said, administrators, I know that your job is not easy, and I know you've had to have a lot of hard discussions and choices. I think what I heard earlier is that you're saving $600,000 to $800,000 a year by closing this school. And if I'm not right, please explain further. I haven't seen or heard us looking creatively into the future on how to solve a fairly small budget gap for this specific school. So I would love to hear what has been done and the pros and the cons on that. Second of all, our state spends much, much, much more money than that on projects that nobody in this room sees the benefit of. And I think what I would say to parents and community members is that who really holds the purse strings on this is our governor and our legislature. And if we can all spend 15 minutes a week calling them and telling them that a priority is funding education. And right now, we're fighting a losing battle and trying to divide one size pie a whole bunch of different ways, and really what needs to happen is we need to make that pie bigger. And if we can direct this anger and frustration at making their phones ring off the hook and filling their inboxes, we can make a difference. And I just want to emphasize, like, our state spends billions hundreds of millions of dollars on projects that we never see the benefit of. And our schools, we see benefits every day, as all of you say so nicely. So that's what I will say, is I would love some clarification on how much money is saved, and have we actually taken a creative look on how to address that? And then everybody call your legislators.
No, that's a great question. So we've provided the board with a number of possible solutions. I certainly encourage you to listen into the work session. They're usually from 4 to 6 lately, every other Tuesday. But here's the deal. The legislature for 7 years said, let's pretend there's no inflationary cost. Let's just keep sticking with the same BSA and see what happens, because there were other priorities. And you know, honestly, when I go to Juneau and talk to them in Anchorage, I like a lot of them, Republican, Democrat, Independent. It's not that. It is, when I go to their office and I talk to them about education funding, and I show them, I have a million charts, and I show them that we're going to reach this fiscal cliff in 2 years, and they're like, yeah, but you know, no one's coming to talk to me about that. They're talking to me about, and they're all legitimate, homeless, crime, drugs, drug overdoses, the PFD. You know, I think, you know, in a really kind of sad way, when we found ways to get by every year, and we used the one-time money to get by, we probably did create a false sense of security for a lot of people who now went to their legislator and said, hey, I want to talk to you about whatever it is, but they didn't talk to them about education and the priority of education funding. And you know, like I said, I briefed that chart all over Juneau last year, and all over Anchorage way before the session started. But you know, if this happens, and I don't know what the board will do, I know they were all introduced. I did see Kelly Lessons coming in later in the game, and Ms. Margot Bellamy, so feel free to talk to them tonight. We can't get to $68 million with what we've come up with. We're somewhere about $40 million short, so we're gonna have conversations in the next board meeting about fund balance, about the use potentially of state bond debt reimbursement. The last thing left at that point is pupil to teacher ratio, which kind of equates to class size almost directly at an elementary school. So the board has very tough decisions, and everyone who says this doesn't get us there, they're right. We had to come up, there's, I don't know, 140 different things to get 20-something million dollars, and school closures was one of a lot of other really bad decisions. But that's where we are, and that's why every year when we built our budget and we go to Juneau, you know, they're not bad people. I mean, they disagreed with my priority, but they really thought they were representing when everyone else wasn't telling them education is my #1 priority. I will tell you that the representatives of this area have always been education friendly, so please don't take what I just said and then go out and choose someone out, because that would not be the case for this area. I think you guys are amazing.
I'd just like to add, a group of us did meet with some legislators this morning, and many of those are folks that are known for being fairly friendly to public education and wanting to help us. But there's a question that came up that I just think kind of fits this whole trauma that we're in right now, and that is this question. If we're really going to get bipartisan support for our state to truly fund education at the levels it needs to be, the way forward is going to be people who are not necessarily predisposed to help public schools ask the question, are you being as efficient as you can with every dollar? One of the questions we asked before is how many schools have you closed to try to reach to capacity? How many of those have you tried to be as efficient as you can with the resources that you have? And so that's a question that's difficult to answer. And it doesn't get at some of the heart-wrenching stories that we're hearing at every site we go. It's not different in any community. And what it does is it proves the passion that local families have for the school where their kids go. I mean, it's real. And the issues for those who don't have children in that program or in that school is, before we give you more money, what have you done with the money you have? Have you tried to save and scrimp and be frugal and use what you have? And then we'll talk to you about more. And that's kind of the environment that we're in right now. And even though closing one school only saves $500,000 or another one, the total doesn't look like much, but to prove to people, we do have to work our way through those things before we want to raise classroom sizes to where they're untenable for our staffs.
Jenna Pitka, followed by Martin Hansen, please.
So I contemplated not coming and not speaking because I feel like you guys made up your decision. But I'm not going to lose hope that maybe my voice can make a difference. I have 4 children, two who are still here and 2 who attended the entirety of their elementary years. Klatt has set my children up for success. We bought our home based on its location for this school. My husband told me at the time that it was the highest rated elementary in Anchorage.
Oh, that you would play.
This school is so diverse and they embrace my family's culture. I grew up in a small town and had amazing support from the school staff and other parents, and we found that amazing support here. Klatt surrounds the students with a sense of community. They give so much time and effort in everything they do, including evening and weekend events. Not only do they show up consistently, they do it smiling, encouraging, and with the kind of effort that goes above and beyond. Thankfully, my children are able to walk home from school currently, especially with the bus issue. We are close enough to where it's safe and traffic isn't an issue. However, if it closes, that won't be an option anymore. We might have to consider moving. And unfortunately, a lot of parents who also rely on having a close community school will be facing the same issue. If you're closing Klatt because enrollment numbers are low, I'm afraid you're going to cause a bigger issue in that regard. You're causing parents to get upset, and you're causing more people to enroll students for homeschool, which is going to impact your budget even more. I realize that you're facing a budget crisis, and you guys know it's not the answer. We all know this isn't the answer. I understand closing a school that has low enrollment numbers. 92% is not a low number. Overcrowding an existing school will fail our kids even more, as they won't be getting the same education support with larger classrooms. It's going to negatively impact learning, enrollment numbers, and you're breaking up a strong community school. Hundreds of studies found that students who attend small schools outperform those in large schools on every academic measure from grades to test scores. So opening your large school is gonna make a lot of scores go down.
30 seconds.
They're less likely to drop out and more likely to attend college. Making a larger school will be detrimental to our youth. Our children shouldn't suffer and uproot all that they know because our government failed them. It's not their burden to bear, and I hope you reconsider.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you. Martin Hansen, followed by Violet Flannery, please.
Good evening. My name is Martin Hansen. I retired a couple years back, and now I teach where I'm a kindergarten teacher's aide 3 days a week at Willowa School, another Title I school. I have a fairly simple point here. On December 5th, the school board meeting will decide whether to devote the remaining $37 million, which they can spend at their discretion, on a rebuild for an inlet view school, an item that was on this year's school bond, and according to the school district's own survey, caused the bond to fail. Are they going to spend that $37 million to rebuild Inlet View School so that, or will they consider remodeling or rebuilding and saving $10 to $15 million. I love Inlet View School. I live next to it. It's the heart of my neighborhood, just as your school is the heart of your neighborhood. But it's not worth closing your school for my school. We've been working, my family and I, trying to work with the school district to change their plans, to change their objectives. And what we found is those parents at Inlet View School who support this rebuild are very well organized, very tenacious, very effective, and very well connected politically. And they show up at every school board meeting, 60 to 100 parents with their children, and they speak and they are heard. And I'm encouraging all of you to do the same thing. I've spoken at school board meetings, and I can tell you that ASD staff and officials are courteous and polite, and they want to hear from you, as does the school board. Thank you. And now, number 18, Mitch Collum hasn't made it back from his flight, so he will not be speaking.
Okay, thank you so much. Violet Flannery, followed by Camila, Majo, Zoe, Mina, Hernandez, Busich. They're on deck. Violet is next. Are you in the room, Violet? There you are.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Violet Flannery, and I'm a mom, a grandma. And the reason I'm standing here because 25 years ago, I moved to Klatt, right across the old Klatt Road. It's only 5 minutes walk from my house to the school. And 25 years ago, I have 2 kids. The one, his name is Sam, the one with the 2 kids singing to you. Yeah, he has 3, and my daughter has 6. So my concern, I worry about, because I'm a single mom. And now my daughter and my son, they work. And who's taking the kids to school? Me. And I have to bring them to school, and I have 4 in here attending a class. And I have the other 4 coming back here. So anyway, I love Klatt Road, to be honest. It's a very good school. The old principal, old teachers, the teachers are very good. They're very concerned about the kids in Klatt. And the principal, they're very great. I love you guys all. You guys did a very good job for all the kids in the community. And I know the community is with me. I do not, please, I know you guys worry about the budget, but please worry about our kids. There's a lot of low income, they come to this school. And I believe they don't want the school to be closed. And I don't want to close it either. I have one granddaughter moved to Golden View. You know how far that I have to go in the winter time? I have like 40 minutes to go in a car to drop her off every morning and pick it up because the bus doesn't work. They don't come around. So now, and then I come home. I get up early in the morning. I come home, get the one that come here. Those 2 and the other one. So please, plees, do not reconsider. I do not want to close. 92% enrollment in this school, and the other 5, they're very low. Why don't you close other schools? They're like 60% or what, and bring them here. I promise you, this is a very good school. I love my school. I love my kids, and they are working, but now I retire. I have to bring the kids to school.
Time, please.
So that's why I'm here to please reconsider your decision. Keep Klatt School open. Keep Klatt School open. Keep Klatt School open.
Thank you, Violet. Camila, Majo, and Zoe, you guys are up.
Hello, my name is Zoe Busick, and at me and my family's old school, my sister had a hard time learning, but this school is different. I love this school so much, and I think it should stay, not for my friends and for my family, but for all Klatt Pumas.
This is Maho and I'm Camilla, and we represent our Latino population at Klatt. Our parents placed us in this school with the purpose of receiving academics.
However, in our hearts, we know that Klatt is more than that. It is our safe place, our everyday home where we see familiar faces and familiar walking paths that make our future look brighter. Also, our first priority shouldn't just be money. You do care about the emotional well-being of the students, don't you? If you dare to close Klatt, you dare to close our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Dewey Logis, Mitch Cullum has, I think, conceded, is my understanding, and then followed by Josh Bridgman. So Dewey Logis, please.
Hello, my name is Dewi Logis. So I have 3 children here at the Klatt, and this is our first year. I always want the best for my children, but we're lucky because we just like moved to this area. So my daughter go to pre-K here, but the first year my 2 children is go to charter school. One child, he's like 6 years old and goes to first grade. But the problem is he have a problem with reading. He delayed with the reading. So at that charter school, it seemed like the children has to know how to read. And I really don't know how to teach him how to read back then. So I found out that this school have a good program for reading. So I put him like in the 2nd week of school to go to this school. I enroll him here. And now he's better. It's make me happy. And it's a good school. I mean, now I try to, this is like the 3rd week for my son, my first son, to go to 4th grade here. So I just don't understand why you're going to close this school, because we are 92%, and it seems like the more I see you guys, the more I read, it seems like you already made up my mind that you're going to close this school. This school is more than money. These children are priority for us. They're our hope and dream. Will you change that? Will you understand that? My son will not learn Chinese, or my son will not learn Japanese. He just wants to make sure that he will good at basic learning, structural learning. My son, I just want him to know math, to know reading, and this school give those basic stuff for him. Okay, now you're going to put them in the different school. Do you think it will offer credit? Do you think my children will have benefit for the same benefit that they have here? Think about it. I hope you have a good decision not to close this school. And the more I read, the more I found out that why can you just like
Time, please.
do the Bearview, close the Bearview school, because they're lower than us, the capacity. These children is lower income school. We need this school. Think about the children, not the money. Think about them. Think about the staff, they solid here. In the previous school of my son, they never have a hot lunch until they move here. Do you know that how I'm thinking this is great school. There's so many goodness of this school. So why you want to close this school? I don't understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dewey. Josh Bridgman, followed by Amy West, please.
All right, so before my 3 minutes starts, I just want to ask some questions. I've got two. School district decided to do a survey on the school closing September 18th of this last year, and they sent it out on a Friday at 4:30 p.m. All right, do you know how many people in here got that? How many people in here got that survey? I need to raise their hands. How many people actually knew about that? What, one teacher, one student, one parent? 4 people. So that's what you guys are basing your agenda off of today? Because we didn't vote or we didn't show up like Inlet View? It's wrong. I'm telling you, I didn't know. I get emails all day from these teachers. I never got an email about my decision on if this school should be closed. My second question is, how much does it cost to run the school each year? How much does it actually cost to run the school here for Klatt? How much taxpayers' dollars do we pay to keep this school open, to fund this school? It's tax dollars. It's everybody sitting in here. Regardless if they pay taxes at the end of the year or not, they work. They pay taxes. They get money taken out. This is a public necessity that you guys are just dabbling into. 5 years. You have an agenda up here. Your agenda today wasn't to listen to us about what we thought about the decisions you're making today. 5 years. You pull up something from 2017. So you've known about this since 2017. Where were we? No, none of us knew. And how much does it cost? How many kids are taught every day at the Anchorage School District Assembly Building that you guys sit in? I'm a pharmacist. I work at the VA pharmacy. When I can't come to work, I go home with the laptop. I do patient counseling. I do scripts. I do stuff. Teachers go home. Kids went home with laptops. How many kids were you teaching in that school building? Just a question here. And I'm pretty sure that Anchorage School District Assembly Building is like $4 million that you guys rent that every year? Why not close that school or close that school district building and you guys all get a laptop and go home? Because I don't know which kids you're teaching in that building. I don't know what you're doing what these people do every day. I don't know. But I know you ain't teaching kids. You're not. You're up here talking about money. Close this, pull this away from other people. Flip the script. Close your building. Klatt stays open. Problem solved. Second, how much does it cost? $4 million. If it costs $4 million to keep this school open every year, you know how much taxes that is? You know how much that would cost for each?
30 seconds.
If you did 400,000 people, how much change you're talking about daily? You're talking less than $7.28 a month for us if we paid to keep this school open. Shouldn't have to, but we might as well. I'm not opposed to that. I'd pay to keep this school open. Third, all of you guys, when you get out of here, if you want Lisa Murkowski's phone number, it's in my wallet. It's right here in my cell phone. All of you can have her personal cell phone. You guys can call her tonight. She's like an aunt to me. I've known her my whole life. I grew up and I was born here in Anchorage, Alaska.
Time, please.
What you guys are doing is wrong. Wrong. Thank you, Josh. Jim, can we answer the operating cost question? Can we answer the operating cost question for the current operating cost budget for Klatt?
Top of my head, everything at Klatt, but I can certainly find out and get it to the principal that can be handed out. And we can also put that on our webpage for all of the potential schools that are being closed. You know, one thing I would want to point out is that the decision has not been made yet. There's a reason we do town halls. There's a reason we talk to staffs, is so we can continue to provide the school board more information. The decision will probably be made on the 15th of December. So I really do encourage the families, the students, the staff to talk to board members and continue talking to us. And if you see problems with the plan as it develops, to work with us, because at the end of the day, this started because of money, but it also started because there's 7,000 fewer kids in Anchorage than there were when these facilities were full. And we have low-density people like speech pathologists, and there's lots of them across the district where we don't have enough of them. And instead of going to a school and being there every single day, they come every Thursday or every Monday or every Wednesday or maybe twice a week. And in larger schools, those specialists are more likely to be there. On the budget side, it is partly the budget, but I don't know, we don't have taxing authority. If you're Minneapolis, the school district superintendent can tax local populations to increase revenue. We are completely, solely, and have been since the Constitution was formed for the state at the discretion of the legislature and the governor. And the city of Anchorage, I mean, it is an amazing place. That's why I retired here, although clearly I don't retire well, but Anchorage has always paid 100% of the absolute maximum amount allowable by state law. Anchorage loves education. The challenge is the priorities. When everybody from the state gets to Juneau, they need Anchorage residents to let them know education funding is a priority, and it must be a priority, and that's how to change the revenue problem. This city always has, always will give 100% of what they can give.
Thank you, Jim. Amy West, please.
Hi, I'm Amy West, and I have lived in this neighborhood for 41 years. I went to this school. I also have been a foster mom to 39 children who have all gone to this school. And I currently have 2 little ones at this school and 1 coming into the school next year, I hope. And I can say, that's a correction, Mr. B, I have a lot of kids. I was the biggest pain in this school, and let me tell you something, most would have given up on me. They did not. I did not speak an ounce of English when I came to this school. I spoke only Spanish. My mother didn't know better, which also, she worked at this school. I worked at this school. So let me tell you, when you tell me you're gonna close Klatt, it doesn't make any sense to me. I pay $13,000 a year in property taxes, and I don't wanna move because Klatt is in my neighborhood. Of the 39 children, 2 are fighting to take my house. I'm not even dead yet, all right? Because they want their kids to come to this school. I currently have 3 grandchildren, and yes, I want them to go to this school. And of my foster children, 6 have gone to Ocean View, and that's awesome, but it's not the same. That school is still not the same. The environment is not the same. We are a community here. It is a completely different environment here. Everyone loves each other, regardless of how much money you make, where you live, how you learn, how you grow, and that is different than any other elementary school that I've ever seen. When my foster kids either move on or they end up going back to their homes, they still talk about Klatt. They still talk about it. And that is what you should see. I have friends that work at Highland Tech, and I've heard about students there, and I don't feel comfortable them coming here. I'll tell you that. That is not what I signed up to live nearby. So look at the students, look at the staff that's here, because if they didn't care, they wouldn't be here. My kids still want to go here. They are devastated that they'd have to go to Ocean View. Middle school, fine, whatever. Elementary is where your kids grow. They learn to accept each other. This is such a diverse school.
30 seconds.
We speak 4 languages at our home. Tagalog, my husband is Filipino. Spanish, my mother and I. My son is Yupik, and so 4 of my children speak Yupik. And we have 2 Japanese. All of them were supported here. They kept their language as well as can speak their own fluent language. So I'm just saying, look at the educators, look at the parents, look at the staff. They wouldn't be here unless their
Time,
kids
please.
grow. That is all to say.
Thank you, Amy. Christy Von Walter, followed by Mike Grunst.
Hi, I'm Christy Von Walter. I'm the principal at Ocean View, and our school community can only imagine what yours is going through. We can only imagine how it would feel if it were our school. I just wanted to put a face with a name and let you guys know we do have room in our building. We have a warm and wonderful school, a super active PTA, tons of fun events, a dedicated and talented teaching staff, amazing kids, and if the school board should decide to do this, we are ready to welcome all of you with open arms, and I am personally 100% committed to making that transition as wonderful and positive as it can be for each and every one of you and all of your children. So thank you.
Thank you. Mike Grunst.
We need to put this thing on a phone book. I'm Mike Grunst. I apologize. I did not know there is a large Hmong community on this side of town. As a U.S. paratrooper for over 34 years, thank you for the sacrifices your family's made. I'm an immersion parent. I was at New Naka Valley on Monday and the school board on Tuesday. I see so many of the school board here. I won't try and name them because I will inevitably mess it up. Because I'm East Side, though I graduated Ocean View. Thank you, Carol Como, for keeping my ass out of jail. I don't recognize the state officials from this side of town. On our side of town, we had Representatives Andrew Gray, Donna Mears, Senators Forrest Dunbar, and Bill Wielechowski. Are there any state elected officials here? That's a problem. Is the governor here? That's the problem. All of our representatives stood up when I called them out, and they committed on the spot to fully funding education. They fully committed to funding it before the words PFD crossed their lips, because we know that show is going to start again. All right, this is not an Anchorage School District problem. Those people right there can't solve this problem. Dave can't solve this problem. Kelly cannot solve this problem. The only people that can solve this problem are the people in this room calling, writing, and being a nuisance to every legislature that goes to Juneau. When Jim says that Anchorage fully funds to the maximum, that's a constitutional problem. If you read the Alaska Constitution, it specifically limits taxing authorities on how much they can fund the school districts, so that there's an equity issue, so that we can make sure all the schools can be properly supported. Well, right now, none of the schools are being properly supported because our state has put education on the back burner, and you know why. And uneducated people are easy to control. All right? They paid a $2.1 billion bribe to the people of the state of Alaska, and $400 million immediately left the state in the form of federal income taxes. That would have fixed every education challenge this state has in perpetuity. $100 less per dividend would have fixed every education problem in this state. This is not an Anchorage problem. This is a community of the state of Alaska problem.
Thank you, Mike. Lorena Just, followed by Matthew Johnson, please. Lorena Just. Is Lorena still in the room? No?
So I put my name just as an assistant. I am I wasn't aware I had to talk, but here I am. I am a mother of 2 kids that assist to Klatt. I moved from Colombia 7 years ago, thinking that this is the country of the opportunities. And Klatt has given me that before the 7 years when I arrived to Alaska. So I'm speaking here for my kids. My daughter is devastated. She is in the Ignite program. She applied for the honor choir thanks to the music teacher that encourages her to be better every day. Honestly, when we talk about money versus emotional disturbance in our students, I feel like the value will be greater, and the crime, coming from a country full of crime everywhere, I believe strongly that the money should be placed later, and the emotional opportunities for students to keep what they have, a safe place. For me, this is my safe place as well, prevails more than the money. My 4-year-old kid couldn't wait to start preschool. And every day he wakes up like, I want to go to school. Mom, take me. No, he's sick. He wants to come to school being sick. Kelsey has done a lot for the school, and I have been here to see it. I work with a community of, one of my TAs is from Czech Republic, the other one is from Dominican Republic. We have been crying over this. And we're like, okay, we're adults. How are the kids feeling? My children have autism. If you place them in a different school where the pathway to getting to the school is different, you're going to affect that too. Not you guys, but the decision. We have students that arrive here hitting us, giving us bruises, because they cannot communicate well. They're not doing that anymore because we offer a safe space for them and for their families. I have served as a translator, even though that's not my job, and I will do anything for the school and for the community. So please reconsider this. Money should not prevail over our future, over our kids. Have you seen how many children with autism are super successful out there? I have this super faith in my children with
30
autism.
seconds.
Even though neither one of my 2 kids at home have autism, my 8 students in my classroom, I have the faith that they will be like great people for the community if we keep our school. If you let me do my job where I am and what I created with the rest of my team and the other teachers. Thanks.
Thank you, Lorena. So Matthew Johnson, followed by Cindy Trawicki.
As I get started, I would hope that any students that I've played at recess, started the volleyball club together, any students that have stayed after school, if you join me up here, I would absolutely love your presence. Just to stand behind me for a moment. Any students that are in my class, I would really enjoy it, or students from last year. Elijah, I'd hope you join me just for a second. A big thing, a lot of people probably don't know about me, is that I was actually planning on leaving the teaching profession as I moved up here to Anchorage. While I'm speaking right now, it's mainly actually a thank you to this community. Thank you to these students. They have inspired me. They have brought a joy to me. There's many times that I devote after school just to spend time with students that are local around here. We've also started the volleyball club from playing volleyball out at recess. Also the co-workers here, thank you for your collaboration. Also was very intimidated when I first started out. I had the instructional coach right across the hallway, and I was nervous that she would be peeking in all the time, worried about how I was doing. I was very intimidated by that, but I found that to be very beneficial. Instructional coaches are also very important because also my coworker for 5th grade was pregnant at the time, and I wanted to make sure that I respected her time to have everything prepared for getting ready for her firstborn child. And the great thing about having instructional coach also across the hall made it so that I could ask her questions instead of having to bother my coworker to respect her. I also am very appreciative of the principal. One thing I don't think you realize is that some of us, we were here because we love who we're around. We also, the principal makes a huge impact as well. For me, I don't know, with being inspired by these people, I'll probably continue teaching. But the biggest thing is that these students, these staff members, principal as well, have made it that this is a model school. I feel like this is a school that actually should be multiplied, not even just locally, not even regionally. I think it should actually be modeled across the nation. The amount of ELL, the diversity, the inclusiveness, the way we work together, the way we inspire things. Students are already advocating before this. That's how we got the volleyball club started. They brought a sign-out sheet, and then they said who's interested, and they got it started on their own. We actually appreciate you guys for teaching them to be future world leaders, to also advocate for themselves. So I'm very proud of you students for that share today, and thank you guys for actually voting or deciding that Klatt would actually maybe be closed, because it's brought us together and it's taught our students to advocate and use their voice, the most powerful thing that we all have. The biggest thing as well, we have the Believe Room, Believe Garden, all these things that are started, our school is blossoming. There's no reason that you should shut this down. This school is a model school, a school that's thriving. There is no weaknesses, nothing's deteriorating in this school. So thank you everybody that has helped me in this journey. Any parents, you guys are awesome. You supported your kids so well. And thank you for all your feedback and everything. It's just been absolutely amazing. They've saved my teaching career. I was a 4th generation teacher in Minot, North Dakota. I taught. Actually, my first classroom I actually started out was my great aunt started there. I felt that it was a shame that I was going to be teaching or quitting teaching when it was in my blood, and this school has saved it. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Matthew.
Also, this state should be recruiting people because you guys have so much to offer. It's unbelievable, the nature, everything. This place should be enrolling students like crazy because of everything that this place provides.
Time, please.
Thank you, Matthew. Cindy Trowicki, please.
I want to thank all the ASD leadership that's here tonight because this is a hard job for everyone, so thank you for taking the time to listen to all of our concerns. My question really has to do with transparency, and I think a lot of us would like to know the larger picture and with the budget and what the whole plan is for the $68 million. It feels like we're getting this in little bits and pieces, and not being told what's happening next. That this is the first step, but we would really like to know what and when is round 2 and round 3 and round 4 so that we can plan, our community can plan, our families can plan. And knowing that larger picture would really help a lot of us to know, and feel secure, not secure, and be able to prepare for our futures. I'd also like to know what specific job titles are likely to be cut for next year as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Well, Cindy was our last speaker. Were you guys going to play a video? Okay. We don't have the capability to play the video, unfortunately. Sorry, I just don't think we have the technology to get it up on the screens. Can we accommodate Matthew and the faculty and play the video, or? Oh, go ahead. Mike Fleckenstein is going to try to address this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have the audio and stuff plumbed through this system because we didn't know this was coming. And so, yeah. Yeah, we don't have it set up.
Will your video answer the question that Cindy asked?
No, but it gives students more of a voice. That's what the video is about.
That's fine.
Stand by, Matthew. We're going to try to. What do we think?
Let's work it and see.
Okay. I think what we're going to try to do, Matthew, is try to project the video, and then we'll use a hand mic to try to play the audio. Is that acceptable? Okay.
So, Shannon?
Yes.
If I got the question right, the question had to do with transparency about the larger budget and liking to know the job titles and all those things. When the budget book is put together and Jim's department does all that, every single piece of that is in there. All the job titles. you'll have to ask me, Cindy, what it is you want to know specifically, because it's 600 pages long. But every single situation and change that's being done to get there will be in there. So if you'll let me know what you're mostly interested, probably positions like me are what you're interested in. So
Thank you. We're all wondering if these 6 schools will be the only ones to be closed, or if there'll be another round of school closures. We're also wondering if whole departments will be closed and things like that within the school district.
Okay, thank you. Next board meeting, we'll be going through the different levels of the administrative cuts and things that are already being proposed by us that we've done. We've been through 17 different divisions now, carving out, cutting percentages, cutting people, not filling positions, and we'll be briefing the board. We ran out of time at the board meeting the other night, but we had some of that ready. So we'll be doing that. As far as your comment about what's round 2 and round 3, that is very difficult for us to answer, and it's right now even difficult for your board to answer. They may have leanings of things they're personally thinking about, but the reality is we have no idea what a round 2 is until we see what a round 1 is. So what we can tell you is there are 18 schools with 65% or less capacity as filled. And if you were to go back to 1995, we've only dropped 2 schools out of, there were 55 then, and we now have 7,000 less students in 53 schools. So you can kind of do the math and realize we're being challenged by people who do not want to necessarily raise our space student allocations, because their question is, how are you conserving and best utilizing and being efficient with the schools and the resources you have? So it keeps coming around to that circular question. So Cindy, I don't know if you want to ask me more of your questions later. If I didn't get them answered, I'll be happy to.
Stand by for a second. I'm going to try to figure out if we're going to be able to accommodate Matthew and the faculty by projecting this.
So while we're waiting for Matthew, the school board members.
Are you talking to me like that? Yes. That's not cool.
So while we're trying to figure this out, I would like to personally invite the school board members to come to our school before the decision to see truly how integrated our SLC kids and our general ed kids are. Over 10 years ago, when we were told that structured learning would be coming to Klatt, I'll be honest with you, we were all so scared. And there was a lot of us that were possibly going to leave. But over 10 years ago, I had a conversation one night with Lori, the old special ed director, and I told her, I said, Lori, I don't know what it is, but the minute all of our SLC kiddos came, our general ed kids, they just invited them in. If they were having a meltdown in the hallway, our kids just walked right by, or they walked by and they said, we wish you well. Never once have I heard a 5th or 6th grader say anything negative. On the flip side, my 5th and 6th graders have begged me to go to PE to help those SLC kiddos. They come back to my classroom and they said, oh my goodness, Miss Sanofner, guess what? We got little so-and-so to shoot the basketball today. They don't beg to go to the library to read books with them or to the gym just to get out of my class. They do it because they truly love it. That is an opportunity. And that is something special. And you go and put those kiddos somewhere else, do you understand how many years it's going to take for some of them to be included? You have to come and see for yourself. We could stand here all night, but if you don't truly come into our schools, you don't see it. So, next Wednesday, I invite all of our school board members and Dr. Bryant to our Thanksgiving feast. Come and experience our Thanksgiving feast, and maybe on a Friday afternoon, hop down to the gym and see some of our kiddos interacting with our SLC kiddos. It's truly a sight.
Thank you very much. So we're going to try to accommodate and show the video quickly, and then it's getting awfully late. So after the video, we would like to end the meeting and thank everybody for your participation. But give us just a second. We've got some brilliant technology folks that are trying to hook up and project what the faculty asked us to show. So bear with us just a moment while we attempt to do that. And I think we're going to be looking at this TV in the corner over here. Thank you, technology crew. Alrighty, so here we go, everybody. Everybody, please listen up. We're going to play the video. You're going to have to listen to the speaker from this television because that's our only capability.
Yeah, do you want to try the mic?
I love Klatt because the teachers here are nice and different. I love Klatt because I have friends that do great teachers here. One thing I like about Klatt is the collaboration. Because I have a lot of friends and I've been here for 6 years and I have a bunch of them here. In my entire life, now teachers have taught me how to be a good kid, be smart, and be respectful to others, and I just love laughing. for using my whole life.
Thank you so much, everybody. That concludes our evening. We appreciate your attendance. Please stay tuned and be careful out in the parking lot. It's really hard and really slippery. Good night, everybody.